Hi guys, and welcome to the 39th episode of Dreamers and Doers, where I interview people who follow their passion and use it to make a better world. And I think that's you, Zach. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, dude. Thank you very much. Hey guys, welcome.
So I met Zach at a really cool event, actually, by a friend of mine that I interviewed earlier, like 2 weeks ago, Brittany. It was about both nutrition and well-being, and also creating your financial freedom and basically creating your amazing life.
Yeah.
And I met Zach there, and he had that glow of people who have this amazing life and want to help other people. And I thought you'd be perfect on the show.
Thank you.
You have a YouTube channel called Raw Cave, and you're a health coach, holistic health coach.
Certified health coach.
So yeah, we'll start with, as usual, what's your story? How did you get so much into health and nutrition?
Sure. Let me take you back to the beginning. So growing up as a kid, we were vegetarian for 7 years, actually, growing up. Okay. My mum is a naturopath.
That helps.
That helps. And my first stepdad was a yoga teacher, so very holistic upbringing.
Okay.
But I found I was a bit of a chubby kid growing up. I think it was too many carbs, And then my sleep was really bad growing up. Okay. My energy was really bad. Had a lot of anxiety and was bullied and teased and stuff growing up. So there was a lot of, I wasn't able to fit in, and the confidence thing was slightly challenging. So I was lucky enough, however, to find my first mentor at 17 years old. So he helped me transform my entire life. I don't know if you guys have had a mentor before, but anyone who gives you a strategy, like probably what you do too, you're shortcutting the results for people.
Was it like someone here, face to face? Regularly?
When I was 17, this is 12 years ago, and he taught me about fitness, nutrition, mindset, and these little strategies totally changed my entire life. Okay. And I got so passionate. I used to burn documentaries on DVDs and hand it out at my high school to help educate people. I was like, guys, check this out. Watch this. What
was the response?
Earthlings. You know Earthlings?
No.
Oh man, Earthlings is a documentary about how they kill all the animals and all the behind the scenes on how they kill each animal for our food supply, and also the documentary Zeitgeist about have you seen Zeitgeist?
No, neither.
Oh guys, Earthlings and Zeitgeist. I should burn some DVDs and hand it out. What the Health? That's interesting doco. So I got so passionate at 17, started helping people, and then out of high school, I got into acting. Because I was so insecure.
What was the response when you gave people the CDs?
People were blown away.
Yeah.
I was known as that guy, that weirdo that would what's next? What's he going to share with us now?
And did you have a lot of people telling you 5 years later, oh mate, I remember when I watched that and changed my life?
Not really. Not too many people, but yeah, I used to at 17 or before 17 years old, I used to play computer games 16 hours a day. Okay. I was addicted. Wow, yeah. That was my thing. And so coming from a recluse kind of kid, struggling with his health and different family issues, I was lucky enough to fall into Tony Robbins and do all the Tony Robbins events when I was 18, 19, 20. And that helped transform everything. I got into acting to get out of my comfort zone. I worked with Vitamix, the blenders they use at Boost Juice. And they used to pay for me to travel the country making healthy smoothies and raw food, which is an epic experience. And everyone kept asking me what we need more recipes.
Do you make sales when you do Vitamix?
It was for another company, another company called Raw Blend. Okay. And so, and then after that, I studied nutrition and health coaching, and then started doing health coaching and NLP and all that type of thing with people. And from there, got into network marketing at 18, I think. And then it's my third network marketing company now, Isogenics. So I've been helping people with cleansing and fasting and gut health and nutrition along with that program. And I've been doing that full time for 3 years, 3-4 years.
What kind of acting did you do?
Film and TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did just like this, but maybe 4 years ago.
Some acting?
I did improv classes, and I got so much out of it. So obviously, kind of public speaking or confidence, but also working with my intuition and working with other people. And I did that, for 2 years. It's one of the things that brought me the most. Well, I didn't really start it, out of personal growth.
I recommend it for everyone. Anyone who's stuck or just wants to meet a fun group of people being played. I think as we grow older, we kind of become a bit more serious I think doing some acting helps us be a bit more playful.
And we kind of do the same things again. I mean, even our brain is wired, is like it's less plastic in general. So we tend to not do new things.
Yeah, well, no, for sure. Yeah. We can change it very quickly though. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
And getting some hacks.
Yeah, we're gonna learn a lot of new things. So just quick question on the, well, I'll go on the nutrition now.
Sure.
Yeah. Because so you started this YouTube channel, yeah? And like, why did you start it first?
Yeah, the YouTube channel, I started because I read a book from Gary Vaynerchuk called Crush It.
Yeah, I love Gary Vee.
If you haven't heard of it, guys, Crush It.
Follow Gary Vee.
So good. And so that helped me realize that, you know, there's two paths that I could have taken where I was. It was like go in the corporate, go do business and commerce and become a corporate person, corporate business person, or I could follow my passion and maybe earn less, but feel more fulfilled and I guess passionate in my own everyday life. And so that was the path that I took. So I saw the YouTube channel as a way of, instead of burning documentaries for people, it was like, hey, let's shoot a video and that could reach way more people than just me handing them out.
That's cool. And you have a really cool YouTube channel. So what are, I looked it a bit, like what are the kind of main hacks that you, maybe we start with the basis.
Okay.
Like, you know,
for nutrition.
Like, what's healthy for nutrition.
Yeah.
And then what can you add on top of it? And we'll go a bit into also, because I'm a skeptical guy in general. So question also like, how do you feel if something is more like a fad and something not really grounded and there's a business or a book behind?
Sure.
Just or something that's really something we should look into seriously. Yeah.
So where do I start? Gosh, what
maybe on the basis first. Like what you found was your diet.
My biggest like aha moment growing like when I started to get into this stuff.
I feel the biggest hack sometimes is you know, what your grandma would say, you know, it's fruits and vegetables and stuff like this. But then on top of this, you add things that are like more uncommon.
Sure.
So yeah, sorry about.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on where people are at. You know, like what kind of opened my mind up to nutrition was the documentary called Food Matters. And so that talks about the food supply and how nutritious is our food from at the supermarket. You know, it's usually like 1 or 2 weeks coming from the farm, and it's usually not vine ripened. You want to have a vegetable or fruit that's grown to its fullest nutrition before it's picked. It's usually picked before that, and that way it gets to the supermarket and we're eating this deficient food, you know, or food that's not so nice. Plus you have herbicides and pesticides. So this documentary opened my mind up to realize that we are literally what we eat, what we drink, how we think, you know, our habits. Like our body is a makeup of our habits every single day. So I was like, well, maybe I can recreate my own body and recreate my own life. So having food was a way of me going, okay, well, if I can control my food and my body and my energy, then business or entrepreneurship or whatever the things that I was passionate about, relationships, were so much more effective because I had the energy to sustain that. One of my biggest, I guess the biggest realizations around nutrition is realizing that how long do you want to live? That's probably my biggest question. How long do you want to live, and at what quality of life do you want to live? Do you want to live to you're 60 or 70 years old, but you're hustling, grinding, and stressing yourself out till then? Or do you want to live until you're like 100 years old, which we can now, plus, and sustain the fulfillment and passion and flow and high vibes throughout that time? So yeah, to go back to your question, to hack nutrition, look, number one would be looking at gut health, looking at fasting to reduce inflammation, and then looking at high quality herbs or minerals and extra nutrition that's going to fill the gaps from our normal Western diet.
Okay.
But I can go into specifics, yeah. I think this is slightly the reception, hey?
Yeah,
we're good.
That's fine. And about, so fasting's getting big at the moment, and gut health too. Yeah, I feel like it's something, I don't know if it's because I entered nutrition more like lately, but yeah, I hear a lot about the importance of gut health. What do you have to say about like gut health in general? Why is it so important?
Oh gosh, good question. So our body is a synergy of so many systems. We're kind of like a web, you know, a net, and each part is so important, or like a chain. And if one part of those links is weak and that breaks, then, you know, it can affect other parts of our body.
Yeah.
So look, fasting is so important for so many different reasons. Like autophagy is one of my favorite benefits. Autophagy, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like that body becomes sick or tired or has mutated cells or sick cancerous cells, and our body will then, when we fast, eat those cells as energy to recycle them. So it's helping us slow down the aging process. For me, like, I haven't eaten for a day and a half now. This is my second day of a fast day, and I'll finish it with a liver cleanse probably tomorrow. And so the energy that I have is like I've had a coffee.
Yeah.
Like, obviously we've had some yerba mate tea with a little bit of naturally derived caffeine, but this is me every single day, and I'm helping educate people that through fasting and good health and all these different habits, you can have the energy every single day. And I guess to go back to your question in terms of nutrition, probably the first thing that we have to look at is chewing, right? And the process of eating. It sounds so basic and kind of silly, but the process of being present when we're eating is number one. If we're at our computer or we're driving and we're eating food, you know, it's not absorbing to its best ability.
So that's something I need to get better at. Is it, like, for example, sometimes I watch a TED Talk or listen to a podcast while I eat. Do you think that's not a good idea?
I think anything that distracts us from the actual eating process. Look, you could be watching horror movies and feeling scared, and that's going to reduce, like, kick in cortisol and adrenaline and things. That's worse. So listening to a podcast, like a TED Talk,
but it's not as good as being really mindful.
It depends at what level of absorption do we want to impart, and what type of integrity do we want to bring into everyday life. But
so you talked about chewing, and
chewing is so important.
Yeah, and I saw a study also. I think it's a Japanese study that showed like it was really good for some parts of your brain. Also, on top of sending the signal to your hey, it's time to digest. There's also
100%.
like some cognitive process that get better as you chew. It's just about it. So you were talking about isogenics. That's something I've tried, and one of the things that I didn't like actually was having a meal replacement shake, or even with smoothies in general. So we talk a lot about smoothies. Was the fact that it wasn't chewed? Do you think?
Yeah, like the whole chewing process is. I know friends. I go out for lunch or dinner with friends, and they literally will be done in like 3 to 5 minutes of their massive meal and steak, and I'm there for 20 minutes now. Like. They're like, dude, you're a slow eater, but I used to be a fast eater. And what I noticed is just through chewing, you know, one of the biggest challenges I had at my nutrition study was to do, for every day for a week, do 100 chews, every mouthful.
Whoa. Okay.
So every single, if it's soup, it's different. If it's a smoothie, it's, you know, you don't want to chew just tea, but you want to really focus on it for the next week. So my average went through the roof, and now, you know, 40 or 50 chews is kind of my normal. And I found just from doing that alone, my bloating went down, my energy went up, I was more grounded, I felt, more clear in my head, my sleep was better. So you got to think about food in its natural form, it's whole food, right? So you've got fats, carbs, proteins, and all the amino acids and macro and micronutrients that are there as Mother Nature created it. So you want to be able to get the most out of that, and sometimes the most nutrition is in the parts of the fruits and veggies we throw away. So like the celery tops or carrot tops or beetroot tops, or, you know, the
lemon, I saw?
Lemon seeds or the lemon skin. Like organic's best, obviously, but there's like 4 times more vitamin C in the lemon skin than on the inside of the lemon. So I'm looking at things like that, like how can I integrate those into my life? But the isogenics is a system I've been using for 5.5 years. And so I integrate it into my whole food and exercise routine. And you know, the system isn't for everybody, but it's important to make it work for you. So I've integrated it in a different way to most people. And I fill up the shakes with extra ingredients, like maybe extra spinach or celery.
And when you
or
have
fiber.
a smoothie, do you chew your smoothie to hack your body?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So like the process
That's
of
a good idea, actually.
Yeah, chew your smoothie, guys. Chew it. The process of digestion starts. My question to you, like, when does digestion start? And like, it's a really good question. When does it start? Actually, it doesn't end. Like, it's always happening. You know, so the digestion process when you go to eat your food also begins when you start preparing your food. So I believe everyone should start, if you're wanting to get healthy and you don't know where to start by making whole food in the kitchen. You know, start with some really nice recipes. We might talk about some bone broth recipes soon.
Okay.
But by preparing your food, you're chopping, you're cooking, you're smelling, you might be tasting a bit of something, and that's helping your body produce the saliva and get your body ready for the food, you know? So if we're obviously having a shake is convenient, it's saving time, but ideally, you know, you want to be putting more time and presence into your food, and then it's going to be more conscious, you know, conscious living is something that I try to integrate into that.
Yeah. Cool. And you talked about fasting. So how often do you do that?
Well, we all fast. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I can't fast, I can't do that thing. I love my food, and I love my food too, you know. So I still have breakfast. I just don't eat breakfast until 12. Well, between 12 and 3 o'clock.
The name itself is called breakfast.
Yeah, breaking your fast, you know. And so I understand that we love our breakfast. It's really important, but maybe the time when breakfast was considered the most important time of the day, most important meal of the day.
Do you know where that comes from?
It was probably during a time when they maybe weren't able to eat any more food for the day.
But that comes from Kellogg's and another
Kellogg's,
company.
yeah, of course. Marketing.
It's like marketing brainwashing. People are like, breakfast is the most important meal.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is or it's not, but it comes from cereal companies, right? And and just because generation after generation people repeat it, and people are like, oh, but my grandma told me breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But that's where it comes from, and it's not really grounded in anything.
Even the concept of balance, you know, is like a marketing ploy to make us feel like we don't have balance and we feel inadequate. And I think probably one of the biggest hacks, if we're looking at mindset, just to switch gear, is the whole idea of believing we're coming from a place of abundance, or coming from a place of overflowing wealth of wellness. Like for a long time, when I started to get healthy, I was wanting to help everybody. Even when I started entrepreneurship or these recipes, like I found I was doing and burning myself out and causing myself to be tired or like lack and cause fatigue and things like that. And I find a lot of that has to do with our mindset. So my philosophy with health and nutrition now is, what if, you know, like the glass half full, the glass, you know, half empty, depends on how you look at it. My belief is that if you create a glass of your own wellness and you're pouring water in there, the first part of wellness is to actually empty out. Like if you have a glass, here we go, here's one I prepared earlier.
It was good.
And so, you know, if this is your wellness, if this is a reflection of your health, if this is dirty water, which it kind of looks like it's just tea, the first step to wellness is cleaning that out before you start pouring new water in there or whatever you want to pour in there. So you'd clean that out, pour that out, and then start pouring in health and nutrition, good habits, things like that. But you don't just go halfway or to the top. My belief is that you just keep pouring, and it's just overflowing. And so my challenge to everyone watching here is like, what if you lived a life where you had 10 out of 10 health? You had a 10 out of 10 finances, a 10 out of 10 relationships, a 10 out of 10 contribution, 10 out of 10 spiritual connection. Like, what if every area of your life was overflowing? And so it's all connected like the chain. And so the fasting component of it for me is realizing the benefit to my mindset mainly as well, because, you know, a lot of major spiritual practices talk about fasting. And so the connection you have with your own body, with your mind, being able to consciously live, for me is one of my favorite benefits, and also improves brain function. You know, right now I haven't eaten for a day and a half, so my brain is like eat.
I read that TED Talk, it increased the production of something called BDNF. I don't know if you've heard about that, but basically, I don't know much more. That guy, I can put a TED Talk. That guy studied it pretty well.
Well, you can imagine that. If you haven't eaten, your brain is like, dude, like I need some food, like figure it out. So your brain produces new memory cells and synapses so that you can actually remember where the food is for next time, you know. So my focus at work and in relationships is more present and focused. But
that's a good segue to sleep, actually, because last week I was listening to a great podcast on sleep with Matthew Walker with Joe Rogan, and he was talking about sleep and how sleep is so important, and you'll definitely agree with that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
but he was a bit saying that when you fast, the problem is for the same reason you said, is like your brain is more alert when you fast, because well, first you don't use the energy for digestion. On top of it, the brain goes like, hey guys, we need to go hunting.
Yeah.
They could prevent you from sleeping well.
It can, yeah. Sometimes I find it hard to get to sleep on a on a fasting day.
Okay.
But it's not always like that.
Okay.
Sometimes I have the best sleeps.
Yeah,
ever,
for me, I sleep well, so I think people maybe make their personal balance out of it. Or...
Yeah, it's different for everyone. You know, a lot of people are eating a Western diet, so a lot of carbs, and so their body's fueled on sugar. Yeah. So when they go to fast, their body's switching over to a fat burning mode, and that's a process where the body then sometimes is so used to having a carbohydrate meal before sleeping that it puts them to sleep. And so there's two ways of thinking. It's like I could eat less so I have more energy, and I need to sleep less as well because my body needs to repair less as well. I always wake up so much earlier when I'm fasting.
How long do you sleep?
At the moment, through listening to that podcast for Joe Rogan and another one from Impact Theory, my goal is to get as much sleep as I can and trust that when my body wakes up, I'm ready to wake up.
Do you have an alarm clock?
I do when I need to. I've been getting up quite early recently for work, and it's just making sure that. What I found was really good is a good hack is if you do have one of the smart watches, you can set it to vibrate so that you're waking up to a vibration rather than like a beep, 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 which is stressful. And so that's a really good idea. Or like getting a light that turns on for your alarm clock slowly, so if you have a dark room, And whatever
your alarm is, don't fucking snooze. Do you agree on that?
Absolutely, it depends on how important the day is, something else that's really an awesome hack. So my mum is a naturopath, and so she can get some really cool supplements that you can't usually get at the supermarket. So something that she's been researching recently is this thing called zinc loading. So it's a process where zinc is really important for the immune system and the body. And so you take some zinc before you go to bed, and it's like a high level of zinc. So it's zinc picolate, 100 milligrams, so you can't even buy it. And so that, and I've been sharing it with some of my friends, I'm like, here, just try this for a few days. And their brain function, as soon as they wake up, they cannot even get back to sleep. They're like fully awake, fully alert. You can have too much. It's important to balance and not do it too long, but things like zinc and different minerals are really powerful, like niacin B3. So B3 is a B vitamin, so it helps energy production in the body and also helps the body produce more circulation. So when you have more circulation flowing, you breathe more. And when you breathe more, you feel better and you have more energy, more ATP. So niacin B3, zinc loading might be something to look into, guys. The chewing is really, really cool, really important. Well, it's not cool, it's not sexy, but it's so important, guys. If you're not chewing, you're not having the best absorption. And then also looking at food combining. So food combining is realizing that when we eat our food, it's important not to drink any liquids 20 minutes or even 45 minutes before eating. And for 20 to 45 minutes before.
That's interesting, because I've read at some point that it was good to have, before eating, to have like 2 glasses of water, because sometimes the feeling of being hungry is actually being thirsty. And it makes you a bit less hungry. And as for most people, they eat too much. Probably.
It can definitely be a good idea.
Help. But so basically that helps to be less hungry, but it's not ideal.
It's not ideal. Like even drinking alcohol, and you go out and you're drinking beer or wine while you're eating, and people wonder why they're not feeling very good, it can really ruin digestion. It washes away. Well, you got to remember that the enzymes in saliva, they're different for different foods, and so when you're eating, if you're having a mouthful of whatever you're drinking, it's going to wash away and deplete the integrity of the enzymes to digest the food. So by eating, being present, chewing, you're getting the most out of it's like, just making sure you get it to a small enough form so your body can absorb it. So if you're ideally drinking 20 minutes or 45 minutes before and after each meal, it's best. Give it a try. Like it's one of those things, everyone's different. So it's trying it on. If it feels good, try it for at least 30 days. Don't just do like one day and go, oh, this doesn't work for me. It's important to be consistent with this stuff, because it's so easy to get distracted. But these are fundamentals. Just Google food combining. it's really easy to check out.
Okay. Yeah, because I was that's interesting actually, trying 30 days, because for example there are things like if I have one coffee one day, I'll be like, wow, that works so well for me because I'm more alert. But then when I have every day and then 2 a day, like, you know, it starts to fade away
diminishing returns.
My body gets used to it.
Yeah.
So I actually find that on the long term I function better without coffee. And that's sometimes why I shy away a bit from supplements. I'm like, well, maybe I'm gonna feel good, but does that really mean it's good for me? And that's where sometimes, and obviously science is subjective too, and you have different nutritionists with different science, but that's why I sometimes tend to be on the safe side rather than experimenting. How do you know if something is really good for you? Because something might either like be a bit of a fad, and there's a lot of, you know, articles about something, but without being really grounded because there's a business behind, or sometimes something that's really good but maybe not for you. So let's say for me, for example, I'm like, well, I'd like to try this or this, but for you, how do you recognize when it's good for you?
I was so similar to you, maybe like 4, 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
When I believed that majority of companies in the world were mainly after our money, our attention, you know, and like advertising to promote products that didn't work to people that were sick. You know, the whole idea that people who are sick, there's a health epidemic going on around the world, which is reality. And a lot of people are looking for answers in the wrong place. They're getting answers from the wrong person, and it's perpetuating this cycle of sickness. So what I started to do is question my belief. Yeah. So I was like, well, maybe.
Well, I definitely have this belief for like, you know, I don't know, like, I don't think the CEO of Coca-Cola is evil, but his job is to make more money, and his product is not good for health. So
I totally get it. I then researched other companies, and you know, there's non-for-profits out there, or incredible companies, incredible people on this planet. You know, I think what we focus on will expand in our life. We'll find more of what we look at, and most of the time we're looking at the negative. We're kind of like stuck on this negative dot, and we can't get out of the, you know, the stress and the negativity. But when you look and you kind of see that there are actually beautiful people and beautiful companies with great intentions and great cultures doing some incredible work, it's all about self-learning. You know, the answers here, probably one of my biggest health or life philosophies is realizing that we need to become our own lifesaver. Like if we're out in the ocean, we're struggling, no one's going to come out and paddle out to you, grab you and pull you in, maybe a family member or something. But if you really want to help your life go in the direction that you want to, you're the one who's responsible.
But even if you think people have good intentions, for example, doesn't mean they're right. Because I'm going to meet, for example, when I do a nutrition program, there's like top nutritionists that say, oh, you should be like whole food, plant-based, avoid supplements, and there's going to be another person who's going to be all about why you need to supplement. And I'm sure these two people have very good intention, and they all believe that they're helping and that they're right, and that it's going to help me when they put it together. But like, I can't reconcile both opinions.
I think the philosophy of like, what works for you might not work for me is important. You know, someone's trying to push something on you and you're feeling like that, you know, there's two sides of the point. Maybe something that would help you and you're feeling like, or whatever, and you're feeling like, oh, this guy's trying to make me do something. But maybe it is in your best intention. Maybe it is going to help. So sometimes feeling that resistance and that challenge is a good way of realizing, oh, there is challenge here. There's something that's stretching my belief system. And for me, anything that feels uncomfortable, I'm always one to research and find out for myself and try it on. If it doesn't fit, then I take it off.
So it's trying on usually.
I'd say trying on, but I also think, like, you know, some people eat 15 bananas a day, you know, and fruitarians. And I've got a friend who's a fruitarian. He loves it. It feels amazing. He said he's got the best poops, best digestion, energy all day.
He probably has the placebo effect working for him too, which is real.
The whole mindset thing and the placebo effect is so real. Like if we believe something's going to work, there's a higher chance that it's going to work. My favorite one of my favorite documentaries is called Placebo, and so that talks about the craziest experiment was this one person walks up this in a mountain up in the snow mountains, and they have to have a gas mask or oxygen mask.
Ah, okay. I see why you're going.
Yeah.
Wasn't working?
No, it was working.
Okay.
It was working, and they measured his heart rate and all these different signs in his body, and he came back down and they measured it, and then he did the same walk again with a different oxygen mask.
Yeah.
Did it again, and they had the exact same readings. Okay. But the second oxygen mask had no oxygen. His brain believed that it was oxygen. Now, whether that's real or not, it's like,
well, there's like very scientific studies on this. So, for example, there's a placebo-controlled, double-blinded study on people who have Parkinson's. So you give them pills that have dopamine to calm down the effect. If you give them a sugar pill, like a placebo, it's not only that they have the same reaction as if they had the medicine, is that they actually produce the dopamine that was meant to be in the pill. So the brain thinking they had the pill, by some mechanism, the body is like, oh, that's the moment where we get the dopamine, and they were creating it, thinking they were receiving it. So it's more than just thinking it works. Like sometimes actually works.
Yeah, the book, The Brain That Changes Itself, is really good, as well as Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief, and also The Honeymoon Effect. If you're looking at relationships, The Honeymoon Effect. Bruce Lipton, amazing author.
He was at London Real.
Was he?
Did an interview,
cool.
Joe Dispenza?
Joe Dispenza, Brain Changes Itself, I think that is, and then Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief. These guys are incredible. But yeah, gosh. If you guys have any questions watching, shoot them over or whatever, or I can answer them later on. But yeah, I guess we've gone through a fair bit, hey?
Yeah, it's
What's next?
Quite a bit. What about the broth part?
Broth, yeah, man. So about 6-7 months ago, I had a couple of friends over and I just cooked for them. I just had some bone broth left over. I do a lot of slow cooking, and I had 6 or 7 friends come over, and it was just a nice Friday evening. And I was like, this is cool. Like maybe let's do this again. So we did it again and again and again, and there was like 20 or 30 people, and 40 or 50 people came, just coming to collectively hang out without alcohol, without drugs, and eating healthy whole food and having good deep chat. You would love it, man. It's good vibes. And so a big thanks to Johannes for organising the Wim Hof events, the ice baths and things like that. After his events here in Sydney, he invites everyone to come over, and we've collaborated in that way. And so, man, bone broth is so good for our gut health, the amino acids, the good fats, the good minerals and stuff from the bones. So I don't know if you guys know about bone broth, but if we just eat meat, like there's good nutrition in that, but there's more nutrition in the bones. And then when you slow cook them for hours, 12 to 24 hours, it pulls out all these minerals that are so good for our bodies. And so you can do like bone broth fasts, and it's just really nourishing and calming to the digestive system. A little bit harder to eat in summertime, and that's probably something to take into account if you're struggling with
bone broth ice creams.
We can do bone broth ice cream, sure.
Freeze it.
You can freeze it, or just recognizing with nutrition. Back to the nutrition point, is that eating during certain temperatures and changing what you're eating based on the temperature. You go to a restaurant and it's the air condition is so cold. You go in there, it's cool, so then you feel more inclined to eat more carbs or more meat, and it's kind of tricking our body to go, oh, I'm cool, that's okay, I can eat something that's really heavy. And in Australia, it's a hot climate, so eating foods that are more cooling and greens and things like that. And
so you go to the restaurant, there's aircon, and you eat that big meal, and then you go out and it's hot, and then you
have that depletion in your energy and fall asleep. So that's something that's kind of look at in terms of the temperature. Eating seasonally is really important. And something I want to also add just for the sleep component, and a good hack for sleep is, before you go to sleep, getting magnesium spray. So magnesium chloride is the smallest form of magnesium. There's magnesium sulfate, which is the flakes, bath flakes. And you can put them in your bath and soak in them and stuff. But this is the more natural form, and you can get it as a spray, and you put it on your feet before you go to sleep. So just like 2 or 3 sprays, rub it in, because all the nerve endings of our body, of our organs, end in our hands and our feet. So reflexology in Chinese medicine. So if you can put some magnesium oil on your reflexology points at nighttime, I find I get such a deep sleep at nighttime. You can eat magnesium as a supplement, as a powder. There's some great brands out there, as well as like frankincense is really good. So I have like a drop of frankincense morning and night. It's one of the only oils apparently that's going to go through into the brain and help reduce inflammation. So that's great for weight loss or energy or just stress today. Those would be a couple of little hacks, as well as I take some herbs before I sleep. The Isagenix cleanse with aloe vera and turmeric and ashwagandha, and they help. Just a scoop of that before I sleep. And I don't do it all the time, but just when I know that I want to get the best night's sleep, and I wake up feeling so fresh. And if you're struggling with fasting, so this is all great to say, but a lot of people are struggling, going, fuck, I can't, like, this isn't working for me. I have these cravings, like, what's going on? And a lot of our cravings, the fogginess we might get in our head, or like, I don't know, not being able to lose weight or not being able to put muscle on in the gym, comes back to the gut bacteria in our stomach. So, I interviewed a microbiologist on my YouTube channel, and he spoke about our body being 90% bacteria cells. We're only 10% human cells. I was like, excuse me? 10% human cells, but it was one big bacterium. And so we've evolved, scary. It's like we've evolved with this prefrontal cortex to imagine and move, but really, we're here to reproduce and eat and reproduce. That's like the bare bones. So he was talking about how we feel every day, and even our brain and mindset, the dopamine and serotonin comes back to our gut health. And so if we can boost the good bacteria through probiotic foods, prebiotic foods, bone broth, and not eating toxic food, and you can bring down the bad bacteria in our stomach, our body will completely change. And through fasting, that will also help that too. It helps replenish the mucoid plaque, not the mucoid plaque, the mucoidal membrane. So there's like a snot kind of lining around our digestive system. And so when we eat all the time, like 6 or 7 meals, or I don't know, 4 to 5 meals a day, that mucoidal membrane, which is there to actually stop our body absorbing toxins, it's there to, as if our body's eating something toxic, it will produce more mucus so that our body can get rid of it quicker and not absorb into our body. So it's a protective mechanism, but over years and years and years of eating toxic food and absorbing stuff into the body, it gets toxic. So it's important to do certain cleanses with, say, well, I'm a believer, not many people believe this, but it's mucoid plaque. So this plaque that builds up, it's kind of like a Play-Doh, like a sticky, like gross build up in our digestive system. And if you're bloated, if you find even after not eating, your stomach isn't flat and it's kind of popping out, it can be this mucoid plaque and inflammation. Like Elvis died with like 20 kilos of undigested food in his stomach on the toilet. He had like a heart attack, which is horrible. So the amount of stuff that's inside us is revolting, pretty much. So things like psyllium husk, slippery elm, aloe vera, and bentonite clay and zeolite, MSM, certain teas and things like that can help pull out this mucoid plaque out of the body. And if you just Google mucoid plaque, it's disgusting. But getting rid of that is kind of like the whole philosophy here, which is getting rid of, it's like our body is like a car. So a car has an oil filter, has an engine, different systems to make it run. And our body, if it gets toxic, it's usually going to build up in certain areas like the gut, and that's the mucoid plaque, or the liver, and we get psoriasis, or the liver, and people have fatty livers. So the key is to cleanse our digestive colon out and also the liver out, and that would be the same analogy of tipping out the dirty water and resetting your body. And then through other good nutrition, you can rebuild. And that's how some people, you look at them, they're 50, 60, 70 years old, and they look so strong. I want to be 90 years old doing handstands and muscle ups,
Maybe we don't know how the future's going to be. Maybe 200 doing
maybe
handstands.
200. Yeah. One-handed. You seen those guys in China who do like one finger handstands?
That's
amazing.
Okay, not there yet.
That's next level.
But it's like body's like a car, but on top of it, the fuel you put in the car is going to affect the pilot too, right?
100%.
So it's even more than that.
I've been coaching people for 5 years, like more than 500 people one-on-one I've coached, and the biggest challenge that people have is that people think that they're healthy. People think what they're eating is actually the healthiest form of food. And so my goal is then like helping them recognize that what you're eating, if you keep doing that, is not taking you down the path of what your goals are, So it's important to recognize maybe the perception of what you're eating right now, guys, is not at its highest caliber. And it's just choosing that food. What food and fuel do you want to be pumping into your body in your car? And how smelly do you want your car to be? You know, how long do you want your car to run? How many cool passengers do you want to have in the car, you know?
Yeah, but again, it's just not, it's also like, your mood, and so also like, it's not just the machine as something external, it's like who you are, your identity is going to be shaped by those building blocks that you
For sure.
are going to create yourselves, right?
Yeah, well, our life is run by the emotions that we feel. And so our body and certain organs can hold on to emotions. So by cleansing those organs out, you can have a complete change in your emotional day-to-day life.
Very quickly on the liver cleanse.
Yeah, liver cleanse. Look, I learned from Pete Malov. He's got an organic cafe here in Sydney. If you go onto Instagram, Pete's Simple Health Pete, will come up. And so he told me about it. I was doing lots of research before. There's lots of stuff online. There's a book actually on a liver cleanse.
You have a video
that I have a little video. It's just like a really basic video on it. It's important to get some guidance before you do one of these things because it's quite a deep cleanse. It's not something I'd recommend straight away. But it's a process of having like vegan for 5 days, apple cider vinegar every day, and healthy whole food, and no oil ideally, no like healthy fats. And then the day, because your liver processes fat, and then the day that you do the liver cleanse, you have a small meal if you want, but stop eating at 2 o'clock or do a whole fast day on this day. This is like the 6th day. And then so at 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock, you do Epsom salts. Make sure you go online to figure out the exact measurements, guys. You don't want to do too much or too less. And then at nighttime, you do like olive oil and grape juice before you go to bed. And that's supposed to go through and cleanse your liver. And then the next morning at 6 and 8 o'clock, you do some more Epsom salts in water. And that's just supposed to help be a diuretic and flush everything out of your digestive system. But yeah, like
it's good after a busy week on a holiday.
Yeah, look, if you've been boozing up, you've been having a lot of celebrations, which we do from time to time. There's times that I drink.
Do you drink
sometimes? It's gotten less and less over the years, and I found just doing the last 2 liver cleanses the last month and a half that my like if people have gone, hey, have a drink, champagne or whatever, and I'm just good. Like I feel more
high on life.
I'm just high on life, and that tendency to reach out, coming from a place of lack, of like I need this to feel good. I need this to feel good. It's changed where it's like I feel good regardless. I don't need that, and so the cleansing that I do helps me put me back into control for that of that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, if you have questions, ask them. But we're gonna finish and wrap it up. But just I had a question about communities too, because these are really important to you and to me actually. Like why?
Yeah, why, man?
Because the impacts are health too, right?
Oh, like everything in my family, there's cases of mental health challenges, mental health issues, depression, anxiety, suicide. This is a real issue that is going on. There's I think 7 to 14 men commit suicide every day, every week in Australia, and it's sad. And I find what I've learned about nutrition, fasting, gut health, we can heal our body and make ourselves feel good from the inside out and not need something on the outside. And that's one part of it. But you don't want to be healthy and drinking green smoothies and fasting all in the corner of your house, on your own. It's kind of boring,
Well, it's actually probably not healthy, because even when you study the blue zones, and often they talk about their nutrition, but they also talk the activities, which is like more instinctive. Okay, you exercise, nutrition, but the social aspect of it to reach 100 years is often quite important.
So important, There's definitely patterns, and success leaves clues, So studying centurions, people who live over 100 years old, there's certain patterns. They eat kind of less meat and they have more community. Some of them still smoke and drink alcohol, but they're relaxed lifestyles, maybe gardening or doing these,
Do you meditate?
I don't meditate that much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something that...
Your life's a meditation?
I do a lot of driving, so I do meditate. I feel like the mindful kind of relax.
You do mindful eating.
Mindful eating. Things like cooking, I find is meditation, or being more mindful in that. But yeah, so with the community thing, it's like let's do life together. Instead of having competition, we have collaboration. And so it's just more fun when you're doing it with other people. You know, like even going to the gym, I'm not one to go crazy at the gym. It's like,
well, the other thing
more fun.
For fasting, it's way easier when you have a buddy.
A buddy. Yeah, accountability. So important. Yeah, like they say, efficiency, productivity is fueled by accountability. So if you're not seeing results, maybe find someone who you're on the same level with, or someone who's a bit higher than you in terms of knowledge, and they can hold you accountable. That's why getting coaching, mentoring is so important. You can streamline and take out years and years and decades of learning and struggle in a short period of time through a good coach. And so, yeah, everyone should have a coach.
And you could stock up on oxytocin with good hugs.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna bring him in. What is that? Eight hugs a day, they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 hugs a day, and
keeps the doctor away.
That's it. You gotta hold the hug for quite some time. Maybe a bit more awkward, but you know.
Yeah.
Even the human connection movement. My friend Igor runs the eye gazing workshops. I think you've interviewed him too, hey?
Who?
Igor?
No.
No. All right. You should definitely interview him. Okay. The human connection movement been written up in all the big magazines and radio stations around the world and stuff. Around, it's just eye gazing, sitting, kind of meditating, but connecting just eye to eye, and bringing the connection off our phones, which you guys are all probably watching this from your phones or your computer, and back into real life, that connection. And so, yeah, it's just more fulfilling, and there's a massive component to health and wellness when you can add in more connection and belonging with people that you get along with. You know, for a long time, the reason I started this kind of broth night stuff and just whatever community stuff I'm a part of is because I had so many friends, great friends, still have them today, but the habits, you know, going out drinking and partying, I just saw myself, if I hung out with them for the next 10, 20, 30 years, I'd still be where we were. And so the whole Tony Robbins quote, which is who we spend time with is who we become, is so true. So I was like, I had to consciously say no to those experiences, which is probably one of the hardest things. Setting boundaries. Setting boundaries and going, no, this is actually not what I want. I don't want that right now. I'm going to go out of my way. And it can feel uncomfortable in the beginning, and that's why a lot of people don't do it. But it's so worth it long term. I've got such a beautiful community, and if you guys want a community to link up with here in Sydney, feel free to connect. Or if you want to host your own broth night, I'll give you the recipes and teach you how to do it and create your own little movement. We're going to create a new Facebook page, probably called Broth Club. The Broth Club. No, I haven't made it yet, but we're going to create it. So stay tuned.
And I could keep speaking about things for hours, but we're gonna.
This has been great, man.
Now.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks.
How can people follow you?
Yeah, check out Instagram or my YouTube channel, Raw Cave, RAWCAVE, or hit me up on Facebook, Zach Dean. That's about it.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, thanks. Till next time. Cheers.
Thanks, guys, for watching, and we're gonna finish now. See you.